built up a business based on honesty and integrity, which is hard to find in the mechanic business. And I've talked to some of his employees too, some of his mechanics who have been driving the shuttle before, and talked to them about this, about my story, about all the experience I had before I found Tom Dwyer, and they reiterated that, you know, that they had worked for another place before, and, you know, when they came to Tom, they had to basically be retrained. And that, no, we don't try and fix it if it's not broke. You know, we don't try and sell them something that they don't need. This is not, you don't get kickbacks for doing things like that here. We don't run our business that way. And it's, you know, that's, I can't sing his praises enough. It's just a great place to go to. I recommend him to everybody. I've been coming to Tom Dwyer since about 1997.
And what first brought you?
Actually, kind of an interesting story. I went to a cheap place to get my oil changed, and when I came to pick up my car, I was told that I had a really bad oil leak. And I had never had a single drop of oil in my driveway ever come out of my car, ever. So I was pretty upset, and they offered to diagnose where it was coming from and fix it for, you know, and probably be around $300 something. And I just took off out of there saying, you're going to hear from my attorney. I called an attorney, and actually the attorney advised me to go to a mechanic that I trusted to find out what the cause was of this leak. Well, I said, how do I find a mechanic I trust? Obviously, I don't have a mechanic I trust. And it wasn't my first experience with a mechanic taking advantage of me, which is a pretty common thing that happens, particularly, I think, to women. But he actually recommended I go to Tom Dwyer. He said, well, you know, this is who I use. I go to Tom Dwyer. He's my mechanic. He's really trustworthy, you know. So I would recommend going there first, and then call me back, let me know what it was. So that's what started the relationship. I went there. I trusted him. He fixed it for free. Basically, it just needed to be tightened up. He said, you know, he tightened it like 5 times just by hand, and he said it was about ready to fall off, whatever it is that holds the oil in. And he didn't charge me a thing. He said, you know, those cheap oil changes, they're not so cheap all the time. I get a lot of customers from those places. So I was just thrilled to have found a place that I trust, and I just keep coming back, and my whole family pretty much is going there now.
So you recommended friends and
to everybody. yeah. I mean, an honest, trustworthy mechanic is just a diamond. I mean, they're not easy to find. He's a diamond in the rough. Absolutely. I just feel like they talk to me. You know, I'm very honest about I don't understand a lot of mechanic talk, so they break it down into layman's terms for me, so that I can understand what it is that needs to be dealt with on my car. I feel, you know, I feel very respected there. You know, they treat me with honesty and integrity, and you know, they cut to the chase. They tell me what needs to be done, and you know, sometimes I'm like, I can't afford all this, you know, although I know it needs to be done, but you know, they'll break it down for me. This needs to be done right now. This is like a safety issue, or something horrible, something worse is going to happen to your car if you don't deal with this now, like brakes or something like that. But there's other things that they'll tell me, well, this is a maintenance thing. It doesn't absolutely have to be done right now. When you can afford it, you can do it. And I really like that. They work with me. You know, if I'm saying I can't afford all this stuff, what needs to be done now? What can be done in 6 months? What can be done in a year? You know, and so they, you know, they're really honest, and they break it down for me like that. So I feel really good going in there.
Have you ever felt the need or tried to get a second opinion or anything on anything they've recommended you done?
No. Never. I've never needed to. And like I said, I've had many experiences before. That was just the last straw, that one experience. My previous experience was another cheap oil change in which I had 18 miles on my odometer from their sticker of their oil change, and I broke down on the side of the road. My rods were broken in my engine, and it turned out whatever that was, the cap or whatever they were supposed to put on, they didn't put on. So immediately my oil was gone, and I was driving around, and only 18 miles it took until my engine was absolutely destroyed. So I've had a lot of bad, I mean, I've had more than one bad experience in that, and I've never questioned anything that, you know, I've heard at Tom Dwyer. I mean, they tell it to me like it is, you know, and even when it gets to the point of like, well, there's some pretty extensive things that need to be done, your car is, you know, 10 years old, you know, and you're kind of at the point now where, do you want to invest this in your car, or are you in a position where you want to upgrade, you know? And I really appreciate that. Before I bought my last car, I mean, he was like, they were like my consultant over there at Tom Dwyer. I'd be like, well, what do you think about the Toyota Sienna? What's your feeling on that? And they gave me all the pros and cons. I mean, they're honest. They'll tell me about the cons of something, you know. And before, you know, before I would even consider buying anything, I took it in there and was like, you know, take a look, you know, give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and I'm absolutely prepared. If they give me thumbs down, there is no way I'm going to buy that car, you know. And yeah, so I totally trust them. They've always given me good advice. I've never had any reason to get a second opinion. He's got a library of books that can be checked out, and that's really nice. And he's got bumper stickers, really cool bumper stickers to offer you that are like the magnetic kinds you can stick on. The people are very nice there, and probably one of the biggest things is the shuttle service. You know, so if you do, you know, if I'm just getting an oil change or something like that, I usually bring a book and just kick it there for a little bit. But if I need to get something major done and have to keep my car there for a full day or a half day, or, you know, extended amount of time there, then they give me a ride back to my house, and they pick me up when